Well, welcome today, folks. My name is Jerry Smith. I'm with the Windows BG, and today we have Tracy Fletcher with us. She'll introduce herself in a minute, but I want to make sure that on this licensing Windows 10 overview that we're going over today, before you view this video, you view the Staying Current with Windows video that's available on Infopedia. The reason we want to do that is understanding Windows as a service and staying current with Windows is very important prior to viewing this video. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Tracy.
Thanks, Jerry. I'm Tracy Fletcher. I work with Windows Business Planning, and we're going to be covering Windows 10 volume licensing and, as Jerry mentioned, how Windows as a service overlays into the licensing structure. We're going to start out just talking about the Windows 10 editions. That's actually been a big question people have had over the months as we've been discussing all the Windows 10 features and Windows as a service. Now we're going to actually tell you the editions that are coming out, the SKUs, and what you get with them. We're going to focus on what Windows as a service means for the different editions and then the licensing. So from there we will feed into the Windows 10 volume licensing offers. You'll see there's actually not a whole lot of change. It's really just about how Windows 10 features and servicing map to our volume licensing. And then we'll talk about Enterprise Edition and Software Assurance because that remains our hero SKU for volume licensing, our hero offer. Basically for Windows 10 we're going to offer 4 desktop editions. We've got Home, which is geared towards consumers. It also supports BYOD scenarios. We've got Windows 10 Pro, which is designed for small and medium business. It has some advanced features for security and device management above and beyond consumer scenarios. And then we have Windows Enterprise, which remains our premium offer for larger, medium and larger businesses that want advanced security, advanced features that we'll be delivering. We have a new SKU with Windows 10 called Windows Education. Windows Education, it's built for academic, educational institutions, geared towards both students, teachers, faculty. It has all the features that Windows Enterprise Edition does, as well as some simplified deployment options that are really relevant for an academic environment. One of the things I forgot to mention on this slide is the channel availability. This is obviously focusing on volume licensing. And so Enterprise Edition and Education continue to be exclusively available through volume licensing. Home and Pro are available through OEM pre-install, available through retail. Pro upgrades are available in VL, just as they are today, and we'll talk more about that. But you'll also see on this slide, we're referencing for Home and Pro, we have a free upgrade, and that has been a big source of questions for our sales force as they wonder what that means for customers who purchase through VL. So I'm going to talk for a minute about the Get Current Upgrade plan. Because, of course, this is all about getting our broad Windows user base onto Windows 10. Not just consumers. We want our business customers there as well. Right. So for consumers, I'm going to fly through this because this isn't really the target for this group. They can upgrade Windows 7 and Windows 8 to Windows 10 Home. Now, our commercial customers, if they are on Windows 8 or 8.1 Pro or Windows 7 Pro or Windows 7 Ultimate, they do qualify to upgrade to Windows 10 Pro under this upgrade offer.
For free, right?
For free. Now, that is for the first year after we release Windows 10. So after the first year, we are going to be charging for Pro upgrades.
Got it. Okay.
Now, the one thing that's important to call out with this upgrade offer is that the devices do have to be connected to Windows Update in order to receive the free update. And so whether that's going to be something a commercial customer wants to adopt or not is something we're still working through the various scenarios, and that's part of the conversations you'll be wanting to have with your customer. But there is one of the really common questions I get is there commercial usage restrictions? Because some of the other Windows licensing, some of Microsoft licensing outside of Windows, if we're offering it for free, there's usage restrictions. This free upgrade plan for Windows 10 does not have usage restrictions.
Got it. Okay, great.
So with that, one thing I'm just going to touch on this, and then we're going to keep going, is just to make sure you understand there's editions of Windows for the Windows 10 Mobile and Windows 10 IoT. IoT is the new terminology for Windows Embedded. And so the only one of these that's available through volume licensing is the Windows Mobile Enterprise Upgrade, which essentially takes Windows Mobile is what comes on, is going to be Windows 10 phones, phablets, devices smaller than 8 inches. It doesn't have the desktop capability. It's just the mobile experience.
Got it.
The Mobile 10 Enterprise gives a company some additional update control that you wouldn't have on a core device that comes through OEM.
And I'm glad you bring up the IoT change has replaced the word embedded because I'm old enough to remember Windows Embedded 3.0. So this goes back to changing that whole naming to represent the current trend in things, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, what you'll notice is that those SKUs are only sold through specific IoT OEMs. There is no volume licensing for the IoT SKUs. Now, with that said, people that have IoT devices are eligible for software assurance, which we can talk about when we get there. Okay, so thank you for referencing the Staying Current with Windows deck. This is a slide from that deck, and I'm not going to go into all the details because I know Helen does a great job of that with her materials. Right. But just as a refresher of the terminology, consumers, we're focusing on the current branch. Business users, we have the current branch for business. And for special mission-critical systems, we have the long-term servicing branch. So just as a quick refresher, the current branch is going to be as Microsoft is delivering and Windows engineering is delivering new features and functionality in addition to security updates. I want to be clear, all of these get ongoing security updates, just the way any Windows currently supported.
That's great to know, because I know a lot of customers have brought up that security update question a lot. So It's great to know that all three
they will all on the same cadence. We will not be metering out security updates depending on your servicing branch. That's completely independent. This is really about new feature updates. Got it. So the current branch will be delivered when Microsoft delivers new features. We've got all of our internal processes, but then we have the Windows Insider program, which is going to continue after we launch Windows 10, and we'll be modifying what it is we're building into the operating system based on that feedback and the telemetry we're gathering during that project. Now, the current branch is where we will deliver a new feature set, and that will get delivered to millions of PCs. We will get lots of customer feedback. We will get lots of data about that deployment and the usage of the features. And after a certain point, Microsoft will declare that feature business ready. And at that point, it will be released to what we're calling the current branch for business. And that's where Helen talks a lot about during that period between us releasing the current branch and releasing the current branch for business, our commercial customers can be testing on the current branch before doing a broader deployment to the current branch for business. Right. And then long-term service branch, we really intend to be only for special systems. That's not something that's being designed to be broadly rolled out across an information worker workforce, for example. That's really, the current branch for business is really what we're building to serve those needs.
Great.
So like I said, lots of good material on this around helping the customer through the journey about which is going to work best for them. Now let's take this and talk about what it means for licensing. So we start with the additions. Windows 10 Home is on the current branch. It's a consumer device, and as we bring new features, we will be delivering them to the consumers first. All the other additions, Pro, Enterprise, and Education, all have the option of either current branch or current branch for business. It's a setting that you put on the device. And you'll see that the long-term service branch is only available for the Windows 10 Enterprise Edition.
Excellent. So we'll have two current branches. Make sure the distinction's right. One for consumers, which is called current branch, and then one for business called current branch for business.
Yeah, and that's where it's this. I'm really glad you asked that, because the current branch and current branch for business is about the cadence at which we deliver a feature. Okay. And then a specific feature will go across one or all of the additions. So let's take an update to the start menu. That would hit all the additions. So first it would be deployed to the current branch, and any machines on any of these editions on current branch would receive that start menu feature update at the same time. Okay. Now let's say it's something about, Device Guard. There's a new feature related to Device Guard that we release. Device Guard is exclusive to Enterprise Edition. So any PC on Home or Pro current branch will not receive that feature. But an Enterprise machine on the current branch will receive that feature early.
Got it. That's great.
And that's really critical for our customers as they think about how they are going to segment their PCs and be doing testing. They can have Enterprise Edition on current branch to get the earliest and be doing any kind of testing and integration compatibility testing that they're wanting to do very early in the process.
Right, and later on in the deck, I know we're getting into, Tracy, how a customer can break off and be flexible about how they roll this out. Some users may want one branch, some users may want another branch. So we'll be able to have that flexibility, right, with customers when we talk to them?
Exactly. And so then the other thing we show on this slide is the delivery of updates. So for the Home Edition, they're on current branch, and it's going to be through Windows Update. There is no capability in the Home Edition to have managed deployment of operating system updates. Now, all the rest of the editions, you can choose to have the PC either taking updates through Windows Update or through WSUS or any third-party deployment management tool that's out there today. And that is, again, it's independent of which branch you're on. So let's take out long-term servicing branch for a minute because, well, actually, we can leave it because long-term servicing branch receives security updates. Right. So we will release security updates across all branches, and then they will get deployed based on how the customer has their environment configured. But a feature update, like I said, will go to current branch. If a machine is on current branch and on Windows Update, it automatically flows through. Got it. If it's on current branch being managed through a WSUS server, then the IT admin schedules that deployment for current branch. And then for current branch for business, we don't even release it until Microsoft has declared that feature business ready. Got it.
Okay. So as an IT manager, you do have pretty much flexible control over this.
Yeah, it really does. And that's where, as we talk about home as a consumer option, but Pro and Enterprise are really geared towards our commercial customers. And the idea is that they can choose which branch which machines are on, and then they can also point the machines to either to Windows Update or to a deployment service such as WSUS, and they have that flexibility across the editions.
Got it. Okay, great.
So from here, let's talk about the specific volume licensing offers. Because now that we understand the editions and the servicing branches, we'll talk about how you actually license and what entitlements you get as you license the various offers.
Great.
So again, you'll see most of this is a continuation of our current licensing. We've got a Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Enterprise, we have software assurance and VDA, which again, all exist today, and we're just going to talk about what Windows as a service means to that. The two new offers through volume licensing is the education SKU and the mobile enterprise upgrade. Great. So we're going to talk about each of these. So within Windows Pro, in volume licensing, it's an upgrade license only. It does require a qualified underlying operating system. So standalone Pro licenses are available through retail, but not through volume licensing. And again, that's true today. And it continues to be true for Windows 10.
So nothing's changed there?
Nothing's changed there. Really, the new thing with the Pro upgrade in volume licensing is the current branch and current branch for business that we already talked about, and it's just both of those options are available. There's no long-term servicing branch for Pro, which we saw in the other slides, but I could see that coming up as you're looking at offers available if a customer was interested in that. And LTSB is exclusive to Enterprise Edition.
LTSB, long-term service branch. We want to make sure we get all these acronyms correct.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
So Enterprise Edition, we believe that purchasing Enterprise Edition with software assurance is the best value for the customer, and we've got some more details on that. This is the licensing overview. You can purchase a standalone upgrade license of Enterprise Edition. That's something we started just about, that's something that we launched in, I think, March or April of 2014. But essentially, with Windows 10, a standalone upgrade license to the Enterprise Edition is the long-term servicing branch only. And what that's saying is that access to the current branch or current branch of business for Enterprise Edition is exclusive to active SA customers.
Okay.
Right? And that's where it takes a little bit of wrapping your head around this, because with Windows 10 Pro, current branch is provided outside of any software assurance licensing. Once you upgrade to Windows 10 Pro, you get the new features and functionality as part of your Windows 10 Pro license. With Enterprise Edition, the investments we will be making in features and functionality for Enterprise Edition, we believe have enough value that those are exclusive to our SA customers.
Got it.
So moving on to Enterprise with software assurance, because like I said, this is really our hero offer within volume licensing. So we want to make sure everyone has a really solid handle on what it is that you're selling when you sell this. Yep. So on the far left here is all the features. And all of these are available through other Infopedia resources that go into the detail about what those features are. Many of them are security focused, but they're all geared towards supporting scenarios that large commercial customers are going to be interested in. Many of these are Windows 8 features because a lot of customers are still on Windows 7, and we don't want to leapfrog all the investment we made in Windows 8 for Enterprise is a net new feature for Windows 7 customers. So make sure you build that in as you're talking about the value of Enterprise Edition. Know where the customer is, because we don't want, there was some really great functionality delivered for enterprises that they haven't experienced it yet. So make sure that's part of the pitch of Windows 10.
Great. And again, going back to this far left pillar that you have here, that device guard feature, which is one of my favorite security features. I really like that fact that that's called out in the enterprise set, because I think it's super powerful, and we are going to have a security webcast later on as well.
Great.
Explain that.
That'll be really good, because that's where also you want to make sure the customers understand that device guard is both a hardware and an operating system configuration, and they need to make sure they're working with their OEMs when they're buying their hardware devices to make sure that it has the configuration necessary to enable device guard.
Right.
So the next thing I'm going to talk about, and this is something that is new with the Windows 10 launch, which is MDOP is now going to be part of the core software assurance offering.
And MDOP stands for
Microsoft Desktop Optimization Pack, which is a suite of applications that you can see listed here. It's extremely popular with the customers who have it. They really value those features that they get. Now, today, MDOP is an optional add-on to software assurance. One of the things that we hear a lot is, boy, Windows licensing is so complicated and there's too many different offers out there. So what we're doing is we're collapsing that down and streamlining, and now we're just rolling MDOP into the SA offering.
I've heard that too about our licensing being a little complex, and that's why I do prefer it to eventually be a haiku poem. I know you're working on that.
Yes, I am working on that. Maybe we'll have something by the holidays.
Got it.
Great. So additionally, the flexibility in how you use and deploy Windows, this is the big story about what Windows as a service means for enterprise and software assurance customers. We've already talked about the long-term service branch is only available for Enterprise Edition. Now that is available, as I mentioned on the previous slide, as a standalone upgrade license without software assurance. However, then all you get is the long-term servicing branch. You don't get the new features we'll be rolling out, you don't get MDOP, and you don't get the foundational software assurance benefits. In addition with software assurance, and I think this is the real key that a lot of people, this is the big selling point for customers, is when you're a software assurance customer, you can choose current branch for business, long-term servicing branch, across your devices that are covered, and you can buy SA by device or by user, but as long as the devices are covered by SA, then which branch you deploy is completely up to you as a customer to decide what's going to work best for your company. You don't have to know which devices are licensed for long-term servicing branch versus which are licensed for pro and be tracking that. And so that's a big, it provides the flexibility for customers to decide what's going to work best for their environment.
So Tracy, this gives the flexibility of an IT manager to basically, like you said earlier, that branching model to allow them to control a lot more than they have in the past, and will have tools to help people walk them through this if they want to set up these branches the way you're explaining.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get you guys all the resources that you need for that. And like I said, we really expect the long-term servicing branch to be for very specific scenarios, not for broad information worker or knowledge worker devices. We really believe the best value, and it'll be very cost effective for customers if they put their knowledge worker devices on the current branch for business.
Got it.
And then finally, we continue to have foundational benefits and support that come through software assurance that we've always had. We've got Windows to Go, virtualization rights, extended hotfix support, TechNet, etc. And then one of the big questions that we're getting around software assurance, the value of software assurance for customers, now that they perceive new version rights are no longer relevant. Because with Windows as a service, we're going to give you the new features and new innovations as part of Windows 10. You're not going to have to wait for the next version of Windows to come out. And so, but like I said, those new innovations for Enterprise Edition are available only through software assurance.
Got it. And so it is, behooves people, all of us in the field, to realize that SA benefit is monumental to the success of Windows 10. So we have that kind of motivation now to go out and try to sell that SA. Exactly.
And make sure customers know what they get with the long-term servicing branch versus what they get with the full SA package.
Right. Good deal.
Okay, we're just going to wrap up with, we've got two more. We've got the Education Edition. This is very similar to Enterprise Edition. It will be sold with software assurance. It's sold as an upgrade with SA through the academic programs. Mm-hmm. It does have it requires qualified underlying operating systems. However, with education, there's a broader set of operating systems that it's allowed to be applied on top of. Right. And then the big key with Windows Education Edition is that it has the capability to perform an in-place upgrade from a Windows 10 home device to the Windows 10 education device. And that means no wipe and reload. It should really simplify the deployment across even consumer devices that students might come to school with, all the way up to the Education Edition.
Great. Now I know there's a series of questions I know that the field has emailed me about, and you've gotten a lot of questions too. And I know one of them, Tracy, is if a current customer has an existing EES agreement for education or an EA agreement, a current one now, and they move to this new, when the launch happens and so on, this new model for Windows 10, what happens to their existing EA or EES? So
at the point of renewal for their enterprise agreement, they can, a customer, if they're in an EES, an education program, then the Education Edition with SA is what's going to be available to them. Now that includes all the features they get with Enterprise Edition plus the in-place upgrade from home. So there's no takeaway there. It's just a net add for them.
Got it. And then the EA customers or commercial customers, the same thing applies, right?
Well, EA customers, we're not launching the Education Edition through traditional EA. That's the Enterprise Edition.
Got it. Okay. Good.
And then finally, I'm just going to touch on the mobile enterprise upgrade in volume licensing. So the idea here is that the upgrade provides a customer with control of updates on a device running the mobile SKU. What that essentially does is it gives them a current branch for business option as opposed to the current branch. Think your phone. You receive updates as your mobile operator sends them out. So a new feature comes along, and actually consumers are used to this models with their phones. A new feature comes out and it gets updated on your phone. For IoT scenarios where a company might be deploying mobile devices with some specific LOB apps where they want to have some additional built-in time for any app compat testing, the mobile enterprise upgrade gives them the option of delaying that update and managing it so it's not coming through the current branch.
Got it. Okay.
Now, how you license this enterprise upgrade is that if you're licensed as SA per user, you already have it. When we launch Windows 10, any SA per user customer, Windows Mobile Enterprise Upgrade is now allowed to be, you're entitled to it for any of the devices that are covered under that SA per user. If you are not covered by SA per user, and that's not the model that's going to work for a customer, then they can buy standalone upgrade licenses through Open Select MPSA.
Great. I'm glad we're doing this for the IoT device ecosystem because I think it's really becoming quite a growth area for us.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad we have licensing to model that ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. We really want to enable all those scenarios for our customers.
Great, great.
So with that, the rest of this deck is actually about talking about licensing Windows per device or per user, which is all what's already out there on Infopedia. So we have this deck because it's the full soup to nuts licensing Windows in volume licensing. But I think we wanted to make sure we covered all the questions about servicing and what servicing means for licensing.
Right, and I've got a couple more for you about that area.
Yeah, so let's drill into those.
Great, great, Tracy. So the couple of them I've got is, if I want to put some of my users on the current branch for business and some on LTSB, how does that affect my licensing? Or what role does licensing play in that?
So again, what I'm going to go back for these questions, I'm going to go back to the slide that shows us the additions and the branches, because I think this is a nice reference as we talk about this. So if you are an SA customer, like we just said, you have rights to any of the branches across all your devices that are covered in your licensing. So really that's about helping the customer understand the scenarios and what is going to best serve the needs for those devices. Now, if they're a Pro customer, that if they're running Windows 10 Pro, then they have rights to current branch or current branch for business, and then they can choose their deployment mechanism. But really that's about cadence, and then it's about how it's going to get delivered, either through Windows Update or through WSUS.
Okay, good. Now the other question that comes up, I know from the field, is you've got this area where you've got your EA licensing, and then you've got these features that you said are incrementally coming to me over time.
Yeah.
If I've got that EA license in place, do I just don't have to worry about my licensing from perspective as those features come on board? Can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, exactly. So essentially, if you think about Windows as a service and the new features, they get delivered through these branches. You are licensed for an edition, and that feature will come out for that edition. When either through, it comes out first through current branch and then later through current branch for business. You don't have to license differently for current branch or current branch for business. You license by the edition, and then you have the option of the cadence in which you receive those updates. So if a feature's coming out and it's exclusive to Enterprise Edition, you would need to be an Active SA customer to receive it, because that's how you get the current branch for Enterprise Edition. But if you're on Home or Pro, then that feature is just part of your existing license. There is no additional charge, and that's what we've been saying. There's no additional charge for the new features we'll be delivering to Windows 10 Pro.
Now, what if I have a customer, just a scenario here, Tracy, if I have a customer who is always on Pro, they want to go Pro, and they don't want to do Enterprise at all?
Yep.
How does this affect, some of the features and so on that we're talking about?
So you want to make sure, and we'll have the feature placemat of specifically what is across the various editions, and we'll have that available to you guys. So first, it would be looking at those Enterprise Edition features and making sure the customer really understands them and understands if they don't need them and if the value is not there. That could be the case. We believe that Enterprise Edition has really compelling features for our commercial customers. But if they make the business decision that the Pro Edition is what is best for their business, then that's great. It's designed for small and medium businesses, and they have the opportunity so they do have the opportunity to take the free upgrade, as we discussed. That means that they would be attaching their computers to Windows Update in order to receive that free update. But that is absolutely within the rules.
Got it. And then the last question I have is around MDOP. I know you've explained a little bit. In Windows 10, we've included it with SA, and it was a separate entity before. I'm just wondering, with a customer with an existing EA that doesn't have MDOP, when they sign their new agreement, can they automatically get the MDOP with the new licensing?
So, yeah, that's a great question. And I know we're going to have a lot of questions about what that means for current customers as we add MDOP.
Right.
So what I'll say is for customers today that are in the middle of an enterprise agreement, if they have not chosen to purchase MDOP, they will not get rights to MDOP when we launch Windows 10. Now, at the point of renewal, when they're renewing their EA, they will be renewing on to the new SA offer that includes MDOP, and that's when they would get rights to MDOP.
Okay, great. And that's a little extra cost, right, as I understand?
It's hard to talk about cost because depending on the portfolio of products that people are buying, as well as the count of licenses that they're purchasing, the prices can really vary, as you know. So, but we are not giving MDOP away for free. There is value in MDOP, and that value will be in the SA SKUs.
So thank you, Tracy, for your time today for going over the Windows 10 licensing overview.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Now let's talk a little bit about some resources that are available for you for the field. Tracy, you want to kind of explain what we have?
Yeah, these are hyperlinks in the end of the deck that's available. The first two are about staying current with Windows. We also have a link to licensing Windows per user. And we will be continuing to update Windows Ready as well as the WWLP Windows page over the next few months.
Fantastic. And member field, be sure to view the Staying Current with Windows video on Infopedia prior to joining this particular video on the Windows 10 licensing overview. I want to thank you for your time today, and have a great day.